Hey guys, it's CJ, and for this month's build of the month, I spared no expense, spending over $3,000 to build a home defense gun with advice from my buddy Perry Yee, a home defense instructor and former Navy SEAL. Along with Perry's advice, I've researched and tested all kinds of setups, so today we'll cover everything from this modded out CMMG Banshee with an Inforce light and even a Griffin Suppressor. Before we get straight into the build, let me toss it over to my buddy Perry, and he'll give us some advice on the fundamentals of home defense and give us some things to think about before we go picking out parts for our build.
How's it going, everyone? My name is Perry Yee. I'm the founder of Fortified Measures. We specialize in personal home defense training, where we actually go into our clients' homes and help teach families how to defend themselves in the case of a home invasion scenario does happen. Today, we're going to quickly talk about home defense and some of the best practices when it comes to finding the best defendable position in your house and which weapon platform is going to be right for you and your family. All right, so in a perfect world, the best thing you can do in a home invasion scenario is have a dedicated location in the house that can be easily defended. Now, that can be somewhere that has a single point of entry in or out, clear line of sight to where the threat might be coming from. For instance, at the end of a long hallway, the more distance, the better, and having your entire family safely together. So another good option for you guys that have multi-story homes is being at the top of a staircase. Now, you might not immediately be in the same room as the rest of your family, but you have a strategical advantage in a position to where you can directly anticipate where that threat is going to be coming from while still having that line of communication with your family, whether that is visual, verbal, or both. But either way, having a plan of action that your entire family knows and practices on a regular basis is going to be extremely important and might give you the extra seconds to stay alive. The only time you should be actively clearing your home is when there is a threat between you and a loved one. So what that means is if you happen to have children or other relatives that live with you, but they are in a different area of the home, you still have to go and make sure that they are safe. And in best case, be able to retrieve them, bring them back to wherever your dedicated defendable area is. But knowing how to properly clear your house, especially as an individual, can be difficult and dangerous, but can be done in a manner that better increases your odds of winning a gunfight, staying safe, and keeping your family alive. But that is a topic for a whole separate video.
Alright guys, to start our build, the base of our gun will be the CMMG Banshee. Now, why a Banshee? Well, it's in 9mm and it's a 9mm PCC, so that means it's a proven defense round that is less likely to overpenetrate either our target or nearby walls or doors if we happen to, miss our target. 9mm PCCs have been used for years in home defense settings and are highly capable due to their 4 points of contact with both hands, your shoulder, and your cheek, offering more stability compared to a handgun of some kind, which only offers 2 points of contact. While these facts are true for any 9mm PCC, those familiar with the Banshee know it offers superior shooting thanks to its radial delay blowback design. For those who don't know, most 9mm PCCs operate using standard blowback, where the energy from the fired cartridge propels the bolt carrier group rearward. Radial delayed blowback, however, functions more like a standard 5.56 cycling system. While no gas is being cycled around, the bolt carrier features a bolt with locking lugs, and the barrel has the familiar star pattern. Upon firing, the bolt rotates slightly, allowing gas to vent through the locking lugs. This creates a delay before the energy of the bolt carrier cycles back into the buffer system, reducing pressure and resulting in a smooth cycling action. The other reason I'm going with a Banshee for the base of this build is its greater reliability compared to building a custom PCC, especially since this is a defensive weapon where reliability is paramount. Building a custom PCC can involve significant time spent troubleshooting and testing components to ensure proper functioning, and even then, it might still be a little bit more finicky than the off-the-shelf models. Choosing a trusted manufacturer whose primary focus is building firearms over and over again helps ensure a more reliable setup, which is crucial, again, if you're going to stake your life on something like this. For this build, the internals will remain mostly stock except for the trigger and for the buffer system. The Banshee typically features a single-stage trigger, but I'm opting for a 2-stage trigger with a heavy, deliberate pull weight. This is crucial for a personal defense firearm, as a deliberate trigger pull ensures intentionality, which can be the difference between life and death. This preference is common among law enforcement officers for that same reason. Therefore, I've chosen the Geissele G2S combat trigger. This is a proven 4.5-pound two-stage trigger widely used in law enforcement and military firearms. Given the high-end nature of this build, investing in a top-tier two-stage trigger like the Geissele G2S is totally worthwhile for me, guys. The only other internal part that I'm going to change is the buffer. I'm going to remove the stock buffer system that comes with the Banshee and throw in the RB 5000 HP from Kyshot. This is a hydraulic buffer specifically designed to work with the CMMG Banshee. If you want more info on hydraulic buffers like this, you can check out the video here for a deep dive on all different kinds of buffer systems. The basics of this hydraulic buffer are that it uses hydraulic fluid to help slow the carrier down and then push back into place, along with the tension of the spring, of course. If you guys have never heard of hydraulic buffers and think they're new technology, well, don't worry, because these kinds of buffers are commonly used in military applications with machine guns, with the earliest applications being in artillery and the M250 caliber machine gun. Anyway, that little bit of hydraulic fluid helps absorb a lot of the energy that is being thrown back and creates a much smoother feeling cycling experience. My goal here is to remove as much of the recoil as possible, and if we remove that recoil, then it's going to be much easier for us to get our sights back on target quickly. And in a truly dangerous situation, those extra milliseconds that we can save by removing recoil could actually make the difference, guys. So the trigger and the buffer are the internal upgrades. Now let's move on to the external upgrades. For this build, since it's going to be more of a home defense gun, I do want to add a suppressor on it, since I probably won't have time to throw on some ear pro if I'm defending my home, and I don't want to blow out my eardrums. Thank you very much. The suppressor I'm going with for this build is the Griffin Armaments Optimus Gen 2. One of the big benefits of this suppressor is it's really easy to take apart and clean, which is super important when we're shooting 9mm, since this is a much dirtier round than normal 5.56, for example. What I also like about the Gen 2 of the Optimus in particular is the EcoFlow design, which means Griffin has engineered the bevels inside the suppressor to sweep as much pressure forward as possible, meaning we, the shooter, feel less gas being blown back, which is nice considering that 9mm is much more dirty and high pressure and jumpy than traditional ARs. The combination of the radial delay blowback design of the Banshee, the hydraulic buffer, and the EcoFlow bevels means this gun is designed for gentle, light recoil during firing, which will be critical during home defense settings. Now, this suppressor is pretty long. It's over 6 inches, so it's not the most compact suppressor out there. So if you want even more compact and maneuverable setups, then you might want to look into other options. But since this suppressor has those specially designed bevels, I'm gonna stick with this one for our build. To keep this as small of a package as possible, I'm gonna go with a larger diameter handguard, so I went with the 12-inch Spear XL, and there's a couple of reasons for that. First off, I was going for that buried suppressor look just to keep this whole thing as small and compact as possible. Plus, the Spear XL is super easy to get on. It's just a simple clamp and some screws. Honestly, this is way better than some of the other handguards out there that I've tried installing, where you gotta mess with the timing for the barrel nut and proper alignment of the gas tube and all that. So I wanna skip all that as much as possible. Speaking of that handguard, if you guys want to remove the handguard and barrel nut that come with the Banshee, that barrel nut can get pretty hard to remove, so be prepared with either a torch or a breaker bar, which you can buy, or you can even borrow for free from your local car mechanic. Finally, yeah, this is a longer handguard, so it covers almost the entirety of the suppressor, but I know some people might worry about heat transfer from the suppressor to the handguard. Honestly, for a home defense gun, high round counts and heat buildup are not major concerns for me. And plus, when I took this thing out to the range and did a full mag dump, there wasn't any real heat transfer at all. So I'm not worried about that. To minimize any heat transfer and to help me get a better grip, I'm going with the Magpul rail covers. They feel nice in the hand and they have a slight rubbery texture, which helps me get a secure grip when I'm reaching for this thing at night. So since this is an SBR, we are allowed to have a stock on it. And the one I went with for this build is the Mission First Tactical Stock. This is a popular stock, mostly because of how lightweight and minimal it is. It weighs in around 6 ounces, which is quite light compared to other popular stocks, like the Magpul DT stock, which weighs around 10 ounces. What's nice about this lightweight stock is that it still has a large butt pad, allowing for proper shouldering and all the ergonomics of a full-size stock. For the optic for this build, I want to keep things small, lightweight, and compact, but I'm going to be a little different with this one, guys, and go with the Riton Optics 1 Tactics. This is an enclosed red dot, and what sets this one apart is the glass clarity. Since I might use this optic in the dark with the lights off or with my weapon light illuminated, I want to make sure that I can see everything in a wide variety of environments. It also has shake awake tech, which is a big deal for me since I might leave this gun sitting at my bedside for a couple of days or weeks at a time, and I don't want the battery to just drop dead on me when it's sitting there. The one downside of this optic is that it does use the acro mounting footprint, so if I want to mount it to my rifle, I need to use an adapter, and for this, I'm going to grab the Strike Industries RMR to acro adapter plate to go along with my UTG mount. I hate spending almost $50 extra on an adapter plate, but this build is already so expensive, so what's an extra 50 bucks? For the weapon light for this build, you gotta have one, and we're gonna go with the Inforce WML, and this is the 450 lumen version. I really like the Inforce because it's lightweight due to its polymer construction. Since this isn't going to be a rugged outdoor gun, but primarily be used inside, I'm not overly concerned about extreme durability, as it will experience less wear and tear since I'm going to be keeping it inside. Now, many of you guys will argue, and I'm sure you will in the comments on this one, that you need at least 1,000 lumens for sufficient brightness. However, given my home's pretty compact layout with primarily white walls, I'm not going to be as concerned with brightness, and the 450 lumens on this light is going to be plenty for me here. Now, if you're one of the ones who prefer almost 600 additional lumens of brightness, then the 1100 lumen version of this light is available, but that's going to be a bit more expensive, so I'm going to skip that one for now. There are all kinds of options out there for weapon-mounted lights, so go check out Josh's video right here, where he did a huge deep dive on all the different kinds of weapon lights. You guys will like that. One great feature I appreciate about the Inforce is that when I mount it on the top of my handguard like this, I can still maintain my normal C-clamp grip around the handguard and use my thumb, which naturally aligns to the sloped pressure pad, making it very comfortable to operate. Another advantage of this is that it eliminates the need for a separate pressure pad, reducing extra components and potentials for failures. Really, guys, this light is a lightweight, compact, all-in-one package, so that's what we're going for. And that's what $3,000 gets you, the most reliable, smooth-shooting 9mm PCC you can buy. Now, this is a lot to spend on a gun, and you don't have to get a 9mm PCC that is this expensive. You can get other parts that fit your budget way better. So if you want some advice and a place to start, if you're considering building out your own 9mm AR, you can check out this 11-part series where I talk about part selection, pros and cons, and all things 9mm PCC. I'll leave a link to that on the end screen right here and in the description below, right below that like button, and I'll see you guys over there.